Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Broken Brian. And it looks like we're having a little shakeup over at Warner Brothers. The head of Warner Brothers Interactive, which is their game studio, David Haddad, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, is stepping down after 12 years. And this, everyone speculates it's because of Suicide Squad killed the Justice League that lost $200 million. But no worry, he's not gone yet. He's going to stick around for another 3 months until they find somebody, and he's probably going to step down, have a nice severance package, and it's so funny because I was thinking about it right before I started this video, and it reminded me of a situation of where I worked once, and yeah, someone was stealing air dusters out of my office. I mean, being in IT for years and cleaning out computers and checking components, when you open up a computer, you clean out the dust. That's just part of the thing. And sometimes a year when I'm doing a lot of maintenance, yeah, I go through a lot, and sometimes I won't even want to touch one for 6-8 months. And I started noticing a lot of them just start disappearing. And I'd order more, and within a day, like a whole bunch of them were missing, and I couldn't figure out why. And when I brought it to the attention of my boss, and we did a investigation, set up cameras, and they were sure. They're like, okay, it's one of the janitors coming in after hours stealing them, and as soon as we figure out who, we're going to fire him on the spot. Well, it turns out he was someone in leadership that was using them to get high. They offered him rehab, paid time away, and a path back to his current position. But within, the day before, they're willing to fire someone who wasn't in a leadership position, 100% no questions asked. So there's always this disparity of one rule for those in charge and rule for those underneath. And so I know he's going to get some huge severance package, even though he cost the company $200 million. He's going to get a nice settlement, retirement package, something, and part of me is like, okay, that's fine, but part of me that irks me, because if someone else on a development team cost the company $200 million, they've been fired and sued. And it's just one rule for those at top and one rule for the rest of us down below. And that's very infuriating. Sorry, that little sidetrack, but I just couldn't get that story out of my head once I started thinking about this article. But anyways, back to Warner Brothers. It looks like they're going to shift their entertainment section, their gaming section, to Always Alive mobile games. And they list a few of them, like, there they are. Game of Thrones Conquest, Golf Clash, and things like that. They'll be short, free to play mobile business. And yes, there's money to be made in there. And part of me is like, okay, that's what they want to do, fine. And we are still going to get the Hogwarts Legacy sequel, but we may not get a third one. And I think it's more of they need to take a look and be like, okay, this was a failure. Yes. Let's examine the reasons for this failure. Because the year before, we had a massive success. What's the difference? Was it the specific IP? Was it people in charge? Was it the writers, the programmers, the direction, the leadership? What the time it took, the amount of money it took to make it? Why was this such a failure versus their last game, which was a monumental success? So much so, they're still keeping the sequel in production, even though they're phasing away from AAA gaming. That's where Warner Brothers is. And let's be honest, from an overarching huge company like Warner Brothers that owns so much stuff, do they still own Discovery? No, I think I think they still own Discovery, and a couple other huge companies. They bought up over the years. They own DC and other former big companies are all under the Warner Brothers umbrella now. And I don't think it was the intellectual property that was the problem. The direction and how it was implemented and how it was created definitely was an issue. It looked bad, just looked bad. I mean, all around. The story issues, this is supposed to be Harley. Okay. I mean, no. Just doesn't look like Harley. Looks like a cosplayer. Doesn't make me think that's Harley. But, and some of the story issues, yeah, and definitely some of the messaging and things like that definitely were a problem, and people bowed out. And the whole Joker thing was weird. The whole Poison Ivy thing was... I'd want to know who wrote that and designed that whole storyline and make sure they don't work, because they've got some things up here that really need to be examined by a professional. Seriously. But, yeah. So, yeah. The head of the division is stepping down, and he's going to be fine. And Warner Brothers, the Hogwarts Legacy sequel will probably be the last AAA game we get from any IP under the Warner Brothers umbrella for quite some time. I don't know if they're going to continue to think about implementing AAA gaming back into their strategy, their portfolio, and things like however you want to put it. But it does look like they, according to their statements, they're transitioning from a physical software company into a digital-first gaming operation, to organically building a successful free-to-play mobile business, to develop and publishing multi-billion-dollar games and franchises, including Hogwarts, blah, 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 blah. That's what they did, but they're going to be focusing on these mobile games from now. And I guess it wasn't this article. I guess it was the one on Variety that said they're stepping away from AAA gaming. I thought it kept the one that said that up. But Variety has an article on it as well. And there multiple sites do. But this is the one I'm looking at. But yeah, Rocksteady that developed it, massive layoffs because, yeah, it cost Warner Brothers $200 million. I don't know what it cost Rocksteady. We know what it cost the parent company. We don't know what it cost the individual studio that produced the game. And if they took $200 million hit, that means that's a lot. And yes, AAA games take several years to develop. Just like, you don't knock out anime unless you have a streamlined formula with a very specific look, like South Park. You're not knocking out animation quickly. A lot of animation, when you're starting to pick whatever animated show, that new season starting, that means they've already started animating the next season. And it'll still be a year or two after that season ends before you get it. And anything faster means that they're working on a huge, huge schedule. And it's just non-stop turning it out, like networks like Fox that have their animation domination. They're constantly, they don't stop. They work year-round on these animation, these stories, voice acting. It just doesn't stop. And that kind of thing like that, you can't really translate that into video games because it's something completely different. But I'm just using that example it's not like you can turn on a movie in under 2 years. From conception to theater in under 2 years. Pretty fast. And we're talking high budget movies. But video games, it's not just voice acting, it's animation, it's programming, it's story writing. There's a lot of wheels that have to turn to make a video game, especially a AAA video game. And I've talked about this before, and, yes, the human cost is it, but I mean, is it, the human cost is a lot? I mean, you have to factor in that David Haddad is probably got a good sized check for being over this project, who literally was just kind of like, give me an update. Okay, sounds good. Boom. That was probably, and he would give some notes here and there. Honestly, I don't know, but I feel that's probably what his position was. Made the decision and just kind of took the updates. That when you get that high up, that's really what you're doing. And yeah, his salary is part of the cost. I don't know if it's factored into that number, the $200 million loss, but it's definitely part of the cost of the game. All that management above, there's costs coming from everywhere. And do AAA games need to be this huge and this massive and all this? Do they need to cost this much? Maybe. We've talked about it before. Do I think that you get a team of 20 people that work on it for 2-3 years and put it out and be done with it? Yes. Can it be done? Yes. It's been done for decades. And do I think calling in all these consultants to make sure you got this and make sure you do this and this and this and this and this, and like, no, we gave our team the vision. They agree with the vision. They're making it. We don't need your outside input. I do think a lot of outside input, these consultants are coming in and charging 10, 15 million a pop for notes that they would get for free in alpha and beta versions of the game. They're paying for these consultants to give them information that I would say doesn't fully represent the ones that are actually playing the game. Because those alpha testers and beta testers are definitely like, yeah, this is good. This storyline is stupid, and why do we have to do this, blah, 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 blah. I mean, that's what testers do. And yes, some testers get paid, but a lot of testers are doing it for the love of the game, for the love of gaming. So all these outside consultants, you can probably cut some of those off and just save yourself some money there. But that's my 2 cents, and that's all I'm going to say about that. And yeah, so Warner Brothers is probably going to put out Hogwarts Legacy 2, and that will be the end of AAA games. I don't know what that means for portkey games going forward, anything like that. If it's going to be strictly reduced to mobile gaming, they may license it again, some of their properties, because I mean, Warner Brothers does a lot of Lego stuff. I mean, they've how many DC Lego movies are there? There's tons of them. And I'm not talking about Lego movies. Like, there's Justice League Lego movies, there's Superman Lego movies, Flash Lego, just Batman Lego movies, and you got so much in DC. And there's the Lego Harry Potter games, there's DC Lego video games, and it's like they'd license it out. Will that start to dry up as well? I don't know. This is just kind of a vague strategy. They're just going to kind of transition into a more mobile gaming, and that's their choice. And do I think it's a good choice? I don't know. Do I think gamers are going to be kind of sad they're not going to get to play a big DC game? Which is funny. Oh, that's right, because they did release Arkham. Oh, I forgot which one. The newest Arkham one that hit the MetaQuest. That comes actually with the MetaQuest. My son just got one, and that's literally all he's been playing. is the new Arkham game on the MetaQuest VR. And I'm like, that's all he's played. And I'm like, cool. I was like, I made a video about it. I was like, why would you do it just to this? A lot of people like VR. I like VR. But to literally I mean, I don't like wearing my glasses for long periods of time unless I have to. And wearing a VR headset and I'm just going to sweat and blah, blah. No, no. That's just not me. I'd rather just look at a big screen, play my video games, and have fun. Is VR, would I get on VR occasionally, do some stuff? Yeah, but it's never going to be my primary system unless it becomes that's the only way to play video games. In that case, I'll just blow the dust off my GameCube and NES and Super NES and N64 and have fun with those games. But I mean, this is the way Warner Brothers is going to push, and we're just going to have to see what happens and see what kind of games we're going to get from their IPs from now on. And that's kind of a downer, that we probably won't get a good full PC game or a console game from them after Hogwarts. And we'll just have to see what happens. So that's my thoughts, that's my speculation, and that's all the little ramblings I've got on a very, very long week that I've had. And I hope that everyone is out there is having a great week, and I hope things are going so well for you. So until next time, my friends, as always, I love you all, and there's nothing you can do about it.